Hello, everybody. Andy Jacob here with the DotCom Magazine Entrepreneur Spotlight Series. Settle back, everybody, because we brought in a worldwide leading expert on the show today about something everybody's talking about, of course, the metaverse. And when we think about what's going on in the metaverse, you know, there's go-to people throughout the United States, go-to people throughout the world that really understand it in a real powerful way, that are making a big difference. I call them zeitgeists. I mean, these are people that are looking forward when everybody else is kind of looking right in front of them. These zeitgeists or forward thinkers or shapeshifters are looking into the future. So we've been able to invite Mr. Yaron Lipshitz on the show today. I mean, he's the CEO of a company you may have heard about called AllSeated, and they're doing so many interesting things with the metaverse. I mean, he's really thinking forward about what it's going to look like into the future so that the rest of us don't have to think about it so much. So, Yaron, welcome to the DotCom Magazine Entrepreneur Spotlight Series today.
Thank you, Andy. It's a pleasure to be here.
It's great to have you. I mean, there's so much to unpack here with you. It's an honor to have you on the show. But before we get started, let's pull the lens back to 30,000 feet. Tell us about AllSeated, and then we'll get into it.
Sure. So, Andy, AllSeated is really a B2B metaverse company. Essentially, we enable various verticals to enhance their business practices by leveraging 3D immersive experiences. That sounds like a pretty high level, but in essence, that's kind of the metaverse as you would see today. Now, it's a term that's been kind of used a lot these days, as you mentioned, but very, very different than what you kind of hear in the news, the B2C applications of the metaverse, where it's all about NFT and blockchain and kind of bringing traffic. Our customers really are businesses that have very specific use cases, meaning business problems and objectives, where we can leverage the metaverse for the purpose of, you know, it could be operational efficiency, it could be sales acceleration, it could be digital workplace. And we basically do that in a SaaS model with businesses.
Yeah, it's so interesting. I mean, when we think about it, you're actually putting companies in the position to be able to use your virtual metaverse opportunity and platform and SaaS model to really improve their efficiency and improve their business. And that, of course, increases their bottom line and makes their clients more happy. What types of spaces are you currently, working in? Who's reaching out to you and saying, Yaron, we've heard about it. We need to get this on board here.
Sure. So let's talk about our roots, because I think that would shed some light on this very effectively. So our roots basically came from the events industry. We started well before the metaverse was even a term. We started by essentially bringing visualization and collaboration into the events industry. So today, we power around 500,000 events a year. Let me say it again, 500,000 events a year, where people can actually go into a metaverse. They can actually see the event before it happens. They can collaborate on that, put things where they should be and so forth, and really get, like you said, operational efficiencies from that process. This is one example. We get calls from large corporates that need experiences, immersive experiences. Those would be companies like, 7-Eleven and Sephora and Ford and IEEE, companies that really need to engage their customers, their partners, their employees in a very different way than what we're doing now, Andy, which is a simple Zoom.
Yeah, so interesting. Let's talk about it. Let's start with the event space. That's where you came from. I mean, you're really dominating that space. I mean, 500,000 events per year is really interesting. So how does it work? The clients actually feel like they're at the actual venue, no matter where they are in the world or what device they're on, they can kind of see and feel it. Is that the idea?
Yeah, so our platform basically has 3 parts to it. The first one is you can build the digital twin of a specific place, venue, corporate headquarter, whatever it is that you want to do. The second part is really kind of laid out differently with, tables, chairs, content, videos, any type of engagement that you would like. And the third part is going to be, now that this looks and feels like what you wanted, is to actually drive the use cases. So it could be doing virtual tours. It could be, running an event. It could be virtual showrooms by a corporate client. All those things are the use cases that are on top of the layer of the visualization.
Yeah, it's interesting, Yaron. Let's talk about this immersive experience. I mean, that's sort of becoming a real hot buzzword right now. Everybody's talking about it, even in terms of going into a place where there's an immersive experience to enjoy yourself for an hour or two. They have immersive light shows, immersive experiences, immersive art shows. When we think about the example you gave, which is 7-Eleven. Let's talk about that one. Everybody knows 7-Eleven. I used to go in there and, drink the Slurpees all the time, but I've given up sugar, as you probably know from watching the show. What does 7-Eleven? They reach out to you. What type of immersive experience or use case would they use, for example, to give our viewers an idea of what you're doing?
Sure. Well, they have branches all over the world. They have CEOs all over the world, where bringing them into one place during the pandemic was a major challenge. What they saw in our platform was the ability to let them come into a metaverse experience, let all the CEOs of their different branches come into our metaverse, network there, engage there in different types of content and things like that, and also have some content and sessions throughout that. So this is one very, very simple use case, but it was very powerful, and they're obviously going to do this year as well with us. This is the power of bringing people together into a metaverse where the sense of presence, the engagement, the experience, and the networking capabilities is as close as you can get to the real world.
I love it, Yaron. And I would imagine for a sales organization, if I have a sales team, I would imagine that this would be a great application to immerse them into certain use cases so that they can understand how to sort of overcome objections and sell and close business. Is that the right way to look at it?
Absolutely. And it really is, Andy, it really is throughout each and every step of the sales cycle. It is starting from leads. We have clients that are now commissioning our platform to run virtual showrooms where, you would come in and look around, and there's a lot of things that you could do there. We can engage you with different activities. You can get coupons, you can see videos, you can do all sorts of things. You can have a session. They can invite you to a webinar, but it's again in that experience. It could be where you invite people into that experience once they are a prospect and a lead. And it could be that you actually can close them inside the metaverse and actually sell them because you have that engagement and you have them there and they're interested, they're engaged, you have their attention. So it's an absolute, we, by the way, do that ourselves. If you go to our Metaverse website, you will have a metaverse there. If you go in there, you will probably get, one of our team members to come and, show you around and help you and hopefully close you.
I love it. I mean, who would have thought, just a few years ago that in a sales cycle, we'd be talking about bringing people into a metaverse, engaging with them through an immersive experience, and then closing them within the immersive experience. I mean, it's really incredible what you've been able to sort of put together. Yaron, when we think about the future, I mean, a lot of people are hearing this. I mean, some people are probably getting a little freaked out here. They're saying, wow, this is, sci-fi stuff right here. What does the future look like? I mean, where does AllSeated go next? What's the next evolution of the company? Where does it get taken to, now that we're inside, the immersive experience?
Sure. So what we're seeing is that there's a lot of demand and a lot of exploratory demand, by the way, in order to, that is looking to look at that platform, look at the metaverse as an application, as a driver for business. So for some, the early adopters, they go and we'll just use it and we'll see what happens. For some, it's like, okay, let me see what's going on. We absolutely can see value and we can see the return that companies are getting in, driving business, accelerating sales, providing better tools for their employees internally for retention, for fun and so forth. I think that the future is definitely heading towards experience and engagement in those immersive environments. It's not going to happen in one day. Obviously, if you think about what Mark Zuckerberg is trying to do with his vision and everyone's going to be inside those VRs, I think that's a good few years to come just because of the form factor of VR headsets. It is a beautiful experience, but no one that I know is going to put those VR headsets as they are today for more than half an hour. That's not going to be the new Office. What will happen is that those experiences will start getting more and more into our day-to-day. Initially through the web browser, something that everyone has access to today. And, in a few years when those VR headsets and AR are going to become more prevalent and more, the form factor is going to be manageable, I think that will head into that direction.
Yeah, it's so interesting you mentioned that, Yaron, because, just many years ago, nobody could even think about this. And here you and your team have built this tool or this platform that really so many industries have been waiting for a very long time. Let's talk about competition, because I would imagine when I'm hearing this, all companies are looking for what I'm calling the competitive edge right now. So a company reaching out to your business, I would imagine it gives them a big leap ahead of their competitors by using your Vision Plus technology.
Absolutely. So this is really a major differentiator, and much of that I would actually attribute to the pandemic. The drivers are doing things virtually, doing things remotely, doing things collaboratively is something that we simply got used to as a fact of life in the last 2 years. And this is so efficient and so productive that you actually, we got used to it. Now it's time for the next version. So if we're doing things on Zoom now, the next version is let's do that inside something that's more immersive and with experience.
Yeah, it's very interesting you mentioned that, because it keeps evolving. And when we think about it, when we look at what you've done, we look at your testimonials, I mean, they're incredible. One thing, Yaron, that, you've made the commitment to and your team has made the commitment to is to make sure that this system works seamlessly and make sure that it's a stress-free sort of integration. Let's talk about that. Where did that belief that you need to make it stress-free and very, very seamless for your clients to be able to use the system?
Well, what's been driving our business since day one is really innovation, right? But innovation without having something that's seamless is not going to work unless it's something that you can adopt and it really solves a business problem. Innovation is just that. It's not a tool that helps you solve a business problem. So we've always been able to combine those two approaches. Let's innovate. Let's bring something super cool to the market, but let's make it in a way that our customers are not going to have to now go through hoops in order to make that happen. Just the history of the company and kind of where it originated was really fusing the area of gaming into visualization and collaboration. Gaming has always led the way in the technology sphere in bringing cutting edge technology to players, in really engaging them in fun ways. When you take those technologies and those concepts and you package them for businesses where they can actually use that very, very simply, anyone can use that. That's very powerful.
Yeah, that's powerful indeed. And of course, your company, you've already worked with some of the leading brands in the world. I mean, when I look at the people you've worked with, the companies you've worked with, I mean, we're talking about billion-dollar companies, some of them. So what's it like? I mean, for the younger entrepreneurs, Yaron, watching the show, what's it like when you're working with one of these huge mega companies? I mean, is it still the same sort of level of service that the younger entrepreneurs try and provide to, their clients, or is it a different sort of dynamic working with the bigger companies?
No, working with bigger companies require definitely a different level of service. You really have to be on top of your game. You have to be throughout the cycle, from lead to sales to customer success to delivering something that works. It's a process, but it's amazing because once you land a customer like that and you do a good job for them, you do a great job for them, they're yours, and they will give you more and more business because they know that they can trust you. No one in a big corporate wants to buy something and then lose their job because they screwed up. When you show them that you can actually deliver something unique, something powerful that really adds value, and you can do it well, that's very powerful, and they will be a repeatable customer of yours.
Yeah, I love it. It is a different skill set, but it all comes down to making sure you put your clients first. And we love that so much. Yaron, one thing that people talk about with AllSeated is your team. So I wanted to give you a chance to sort of talk about the team because, in this world, nobody is a one-man or one-woman show anymore. Everybody wants to know about the team. And in your case, you've really put together a world-class team. So let's talk about that. How important is the team to the success of your business?
It's not important. It's the only thing. The team here is really what drives the business. It's obviously a group of 120, the most dedicated, amazing, innovative, relentless people that I've seen. Just waking up every morning and having the privilege to work with them and collaborate with them is something that I'm grateful for literally every day. And I tell that to them, maybe not as often as I should. You really, for young entrepreneurs, the one thing that you should know, the talent density of your company, day one, the talent density of the company as you progress is going to be the absolute number one factor for success. You keep those people happy, you keep them engaged, they will do likewise. If not, then you're going to have a disaster on your hands.
Yeah, I think that's right. And this word talent density is such a great terminology. I'm going to have to steal that one from you, Yaron, if you don't mind. I love that because it is about talent density, right?
I stole that from the Netflix, from Reed Hastings, who's the CEO of Netflix. So I stole that. So feel free to steal it from me. I think it's a concept that, again, in hindsight, this is what we've done. We didn't know it when we did it. But when I read the book, it was so obvious that, you really have to keep the talent density of your company always. And look, sometimes it's not, some people are not the right fit for the right job, the right culture, and that's okay. And they know it, sometimes you know it, and that's okay. But as long as you're proactive about that and you keep the company at that high level, I think you're going to see great results. It's just the only way to succeed. I'll tell you one more thing. I think the one thing that I'm really proud of, and I think that ties into that point, is the diversity in our company. We have offices in the US. We have a big office in Europe. We have an office in Ukraine with 30 people. We have an office in Israel. Very different cultures. We have half of our team members are female. We've got probably every religion, every ethnicity, race, orientation, whatever it is that you want. And it's not by design. It's really because when you look for the best person, when you look for the best person for the job, you're going to have, statistically speaking, the representation of the population. And that's how it works.
Yeah, that's great. That's a great way to go, of course. And of course, you mentioned something that's very interesting. You mentioned culture. You mentioned corporate culture. And we speak to many CEOs and many experts in corporate culture. And of course, that culture really starts at the top. What are some of the things that you think about, Yaron, when you get up in the morning, and you're building this company, you've got, 100 or 200 employees and it's burgeoning at the seams right now. What's the thing that you think about when you wake up in the morning to make sure the corporate culture is in alignment with sort of your mission?
Well, I think the number one thing is respect. You have to let people feel that they're respected, that they're appreciated, that they respect others, that they know how to deal with adverse situations in a respectful manner. I think that's kind of the number one thing. You can be 100% successful in that, but if you strive and you're in the 95 to 100%, I think that goes a long way. This is where it starts. I think you have to provide an environment where people are willing to take chances, take risks, and fail, and not punish them for that, as long as, of course, they gave it their best shot and they're aware that it wasn't because of negligence or just because they were screwing around.
Yeah, it makes sense, Yaron. Before we let you go, I know you've only cut out a certain amount of time, and I really appreciate it. This has been a great interview. I want to get into entrepreneurship in just a moment. But before we do, I want to talk about this idea of follow-up. One thing that, your company and your team has become very well known for is the follow-up that you're able to give your clients and the way in which you're sort of able to sort of stay in the mix and make sure that what you promise actually gets delivered. So how important that is to your corporate culture?
Oh, it's crucial. I think when I see, and it's not that often, but when I do see that something did not get followed up on and I get an email about that, then someone hears about it from me personally, not in a nasty way, but hey, what happened? Let's make sure it doesn't happen again. Absolutely, you have got to follow up on your promises and your commitments to your customers. Absolutely.
Yeah, it makes sense. And of course, it sounds so simple, but so few companies actually get it done correctly. So when you do the right thing, which is following up, that sets you apart from sort of the masses. And that's really crazy that just doing what you're supposed to do makes you exceptional. And I love that so much.
That's the reality.
That's right. Yaron, this has been fantastic. Let's get into entrepreneurship. I'm going to slice out a little more of your time. For the younger entrepreneurs watching the show, they're watching this and they're saying, they're looking at this gentleman, doing business with these types of companies. Did Yaron ever hit a pothole? Did he ever hit a roadblock? Did he stumble? For the younger entrepreneurs watching the show, maybe you could give some advice about what it takes to get through those tough times as an entrepreneur.
There probably hasn't been a day where this didn't happen. This is my job. Yes, there's obviously potholes and there's things that are worse than that. You will absolutely 100% encounter them in your journey. I think that my advice, first of all, be honest with yourself on what's working and what's not working. Dreams are great, but dreams without proper execution will absolutely stay just that. And when you do see a problem, be very proactive and have the courage to make changes. Those could be small changes. It could be personnel changes, or it could be something big like a business model change, which we have done, by the way, in 2017. We completely pivoted our business model and worked great, but it was a very painful change for many reasons. You need to surround yourself with people that really support you inside the company and outside, crucial to your success and, by the way, to your mental well-being. And then I would highly recommend that you find a network of other like people, CEOs, industry people, friends that can give you perspective and balance those gyrations. This is absolutely what kept me, on the right track and sane. I think the one critical thing that I would say to everyone that's listening to this, do not be afraid to ask for advice and ask for help. You're not admitting failure. The fact that if you don't admit that you have a problem and you don't talk to someone about it, you're most likely to fail. That is going to be the end result. You can't solve all your problems on your own. You have to find people where you can trust, and you tell them that you have a problem and it's completely okay. 9 times out of 10, they will help you out. They will open up about their journey. They will give you time because they've gone through that and they know that it's tough. And there is not one single person that I know that went through, being a CEO or whatever, that didn't go through significant issues in their journey. Not one.
Wow, what great advice. Of course, surround yourself and find people you trust. And more importantly, or equally as important, make sure they care about you because they want to care enough to give you the good advice to get you on your way. What a great piece of advice 100%. That is for the entrepreneurs, the younger ones watching this show. Rewind what Yaron just said. I mean, he kind of gave you a Harvard MBA right there in about 2 minutes. That's really awesome. Listen, this has been a great interview. I'm going to bring you back. There's so much more to unpack, but I know your time is very, very precious. So Yaron, I wanted to thank you for coming on the DotCom Magazine Entrepreneur Spotlight Series today. This has been more than expected. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Andy. Much appreciated.